Hi everyone, this is Karak from ACG, and I come to you hexed, hot, and hallucinating from the heat as I bring to you the review for Hard West. Though it sounds a bit like a dirty Pac-10 film about college kids, it's not. Imagine mixing a little bit of Desperados, a little bit of XCOM, and some of that Deadlands role-playing game all into one package, rub some cell shading on it, grab your Volcano 6-shooter, and let's ride. Hard West tells the tale of, well, it tells a lot of tales, an interwoven series of connected by death scenarios. Hard West has you playing Inquisitors for the Church, Desperados, do-gooding kids, and perhaps as a couple devil nuns as you shoot, scam, stab, slice, snipe, and sacrifice your way through the game's 40-plus missions. Let's see if Hard West brings the goods and reminds us of age-old titles like, let's say, Desperados and, of course, the current king, XCOM. Or is it a reminder that this kind of turn-based affair actually lives on in multiple mobile titles to less fanfare than Antonio Banderas recently trying to bring cloaks back into fashion? As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's the review for Hard West. Toolless surgery in desert settings, cannibalism for the good of all mankind, evil meteorites, and people who just keep making deals with the devil like gambling addicts, always thinking somehow they can beat the house. Graphics are up first. Delivered in the typical 3/4 view of this kind of game, Hard West does its best to solidify a feeling of both organic Old West architecture with double-decker sniper-loving barns and the wide-open, cover-laden pews of a church, down to the double cellar doors used as impromptu cover we've seen in tons of Western movies, as well as a good mix of otherworldliness when suddenly you're faced with a congregation of fallen angel worshippers that have decided the local mine is a good place to hold a soul raffle. Special effects are laden throughout the levels as well, with heavy mist licking off the leaves of bushes to the dust of shells and crackling of wood sending particles into the air. In direct contention, XCOM and its games have always had a very clean aesthetic to them, eschewing that lived-in feel for the more clinical alienness of their fiction, and it's worked well for them. It's just the opposite here. Hard West is a place where the damn steps would give you dysentery. The game absolutely shines from an artistic standpoint as well, and even when it gets weird, as it does sooner rather than later, there's still a dirty desert feel to everything. Aside from my own personal beef that I can't zoom in just a bit closer to my characters than is allowed, Hard West has very few faults for a game of this kind. I think of special note here is the cell shading, unlike other games where whatever good assets they have fell under the heavy ink lines of someone with a damn cell shading cannon. In Hard West, there's a very astute accentuation of detail where it needs to be, and nothing's inordinately drawn out. That means landscapes and characters are solidified as one cohesive picture, though at times that can lead to momentary loss of character, which sounds like a disease a priest gets, but here it just means from time to time you're going to lose your character in the background as you're scrolling around. They are outlined, but it does happen. The game's UI is functional, but I didn't love it, and I would have liked a bit more feedback on particular actions I was taking. Sometimes I had to really check if I was going to use up both my moves and action, or just a single move by swinging the camera a couple times to check out where I was stopping on a particular move. It's a small quibble, but it's there nonetheless, and yeah, let's be honest, I would love to have more control of the camera, as I said. Texture work is also good to excellent throughout the entire title. Lastly, the art on things like the items, the overland map, and the character portraits are fantastic. Imagine the results of a brainstorming session with a voodoo priest and Clint Eastwood, and you pretty much have an idea of what the game looks like. Hard West sets out to be different from other titles of its kind, and graphically, I think it nails it, especially when compared to current titles like this. Sound, music, and voice.
Cervantes was enraged. He did not like being bamboozled. For that, Solomon would pay.
As always, sound is up first in this trilogy. Whether it's the wind whipping through trees or the rain pounding down on church roofs, as you make your way stealthily through a bad guy's siesta, the environmental sounds are excellent. I do wish it was a bit wider, however, with perhaps more samples and just different things going on. Overall, the environment sounds occurring while fighting are excellent throughout. Guns, something Hard West has a lot of, all sound excellent. Shotguns boom out please die messages to those nearby, and sniper rifles' large caliber life enders smack wetly into enemies' foreheads. They respect the spectrum from high to low. Very good sound throughout. Now, music. was not expecting whatever we got. Take like ethereal, almost ghostly voice work 1 minute with haunting melodies, and then typical spaghetti western music with the pianos and guitars and that typical can of rocks rattle, and then merge them in to another level, and you sort of had hard west music. It's a wide open canvas of unexpected pleasures. It really is something totally surprising, and I'm not 100% sure I'd listen to this outside of the game, but within the title, it does exactly what it was supposed to, and that's elevate atmosphere effortlessly. Just not 100% sure what genre it always falls in. And that, of course, brings us to voice. The game is mostly voiced by the narrator, Garrett from Thief Sound-alike, who does a wonderful job with some of the most gravelly, hard-bitten writing I think you could possibly imagine. Whether talking about demons and Indian shamans or the revenge desired by those freshly dead, the voice is wonderful. There's a lot of reading in between the voiceovers, just a heads up there, but I found that the voice work was really well done. And now, of course, that brings us to gameplay. A bit about the story. So Hard West starts out telling the story of people on the Oregon Trail, and as those people are wont to do, they run into absolute shit luck and people start dying. What starts off as a happy-go-lucky, humorous affair like that turns decidedly dark quickly, with a supernatural slant added within a very short measure of the starting of the title. Think the mysterious stranger missions in Red Dead, and then add in some Deadlands, as I said, the role-playing game, and you sort of have an idea. The game branches off several times to tell somewhat connected stories about the lives of those affected from the very start of the game. It's done really effectively, allowing the player to bounce from main story to side stories and then go back in time a couple times to play various sections from other characters' vantage points, but with little to no reused assets. Make no mistakes, you will meet a very large and diverse group of people to play with here in Hard West, from nuns with secrets to opium addicts to a series of hilariously disguised clone-like figures working for the Pinkertons. It's this diversity of character both within the story's main plot and within the gameplay that works so well to tie everything into a woven tapestry of story, but it also makes moving on or losing a character simply due to some story progression really depressing. Within the game, you basically have two sections. The Overland map, which plays out like a choose-your-own-adventure game. Depending on the scenario, you might be running from the law, mining to get gold, hunting down evil parishioners, or just slaughtering the hell out of everyone because it's fun. Here, too, you can also trade with various strangers. I just love the feeling of oddness that pervades the entire title. It's not a normal trader you meet, but a man with his mouth sewn shut, who's always eager to make a deal. It's not just gypsies, but slightly odd gypsies. Well, I guess they're probably all slightly odd. It's like everyone's degenerates were sent to the Hard West to live. No one is normal here, but most aren't so outlandish to feel particularly odd. It's a great atmosphere. Once you make enough decisions, you end up having a battle. Now, before doing so, you get to outfit whatever characters the scenario has given you with weapons, too, of course, healing items, ancient shaman talismans that might impact your aim, luck, or hit points, and the star of the show here, which is the card deck system. Every player has up to 5 cards, just like a poker game, that they can carry, with some slots unlocking as you level up. Putting various cards in your hand gives you bonuses, which start out like trick shot, ricocheting bullets off things like church bells. But soon, it gets totally weird. Soon it's things like the ability to banshee scream at enemies, hide in the night, or heal while in shadows. It's as outlandish as it is awesome, and does an incredible amount to add atmosphere and really make you feel like you can change it up. Also, it allows for an incredible number of different builds. I've been hide in the shadows, one-shot, one-kill death machine with the ability to eat enemies, and the next time I was a dead-eye dick trick shooter with the ability to ricochet shots and live through death-dealing injuries just because I was really that cool. As you gather the cards, if you create a hand like 2 pair or 3 of a kind, you get an additional stat, which is given to you as a hand bonus. It is a wonderful add to the gameplay, super fun. Now, once inside battles and going mano-a-mano with the enemy, there's no Overwatch. Repeat, there is no Overwatch. For those that expect that kind of thing, the game is not about waiting. In fact, the included luck system, which basically lowers your chance of successfully not getting shot in the face behind cover as people shoot at you, as well as the 2 action point gameplay, means it's more about moving and shooting and almost paramilitary style movements amongst your team. And it's wonderful. I admit it took me a while to get over that feeling that I needed to save up something at the end of the turn, but the game is all about going out, about smart reloading, weapon use, and hiding. Now, speaking of hiding, there are 3 types of cover here, none, half, and full, and regardless of them, if you stay in place and people shoot at you, your luck goes down, slowly raising their own ability to directly find you. Shooting usually ends a turn, so the game really is about a chess-like style of gameplay, moving and shooting, reloading and shooting, using a special skill, and shooting, or just running for your damn life. It's excellent, and the balance between your luck skill and your own life and where you're moving and hiding is stupendous. Also, if you sneak up behind people, you can surprise them and basically subdue them for a short amount of time. But really, let's be honest, that's pretty much there so you can get closer before blowing their soul out of their body like a kayak over some waterfalls. Now, that being said, it's not all about you. Flip a table over, open up cellar doors, create cover by kicking shit over. It's all possible. You just can't hide out there. This brings a liveliness and freshness to this kind of title that I personally feel was absolutely needed, but it's not going to be for everyone. Also, Fog of War is handled really, really well. During sunny days, you may not know where the enemy is, but listening or watching for shadows around buildings can alert you to an enemy's presence before the game actually does. This is a phenomenally addictive part of the title, causing me to constantly keep an eye and ear out for enemies, as well as being very careful of my own, because if you don't, enemies can see your shadow as well, and they will alert everybody. Now, when it comes to difficulty, the game is not easy. It has typical difficulties, but you can also, before the game starts, pick some special aspects, like injuries that at first can really make the battle one-sided, but as you continue to adventure with a particular character, they overcome the injury and gain a related bonus. For example, get shot in the leg and your movement is drastically slower, but over time and over missions, your aim improves dramatically as well. Though I will be honest, it's devastating losing a character you've put a couple hours into that has a drastic limp and is a dead-eye dick. And because your characters have far more realistic life bars, it means usually taking 2 shots to the yawn hole is about all you're going to get before you're taking a dirt nap. It requires a finesse in strategy as well as intelligence in gearing up your characters prior to the battle. The one place I did find at times that Hard West failed me was identifying if an enemy would hit me with their weapon. I mean, guns in this game have range like a sumbitch, and rifles can reach out and off-button you from buildings away. And there's that butt-tightening moment where you realized you just moved into the cover from one enemy and right into the old rusty crosshairs of some human-eating shitbird. It's amazing, but it's also annoying. And the game's length is well over 12 hours if you want to complete all the scenarios, and much longer on the harder difficulties. The game ain't easy. Fun factor: it's a blast. This came out of left field. I was able to see the title at PAX and was interested, but what I'm playing here is just a really fun time. The reward for different gameplay styles may not be here, as you usually don't have a don't kill anyone style mission, but most missions do have some kind of optional rewards for doing unique things, and though they may not be much more difficult for a tough as nails hombre versus a slick gun shooting trickster, the devil is in the details, and the fact that both feel profoundly enjoyable to play. So I rate games on a buy, wait for a sale, rent, or never touch it again rating scale. This is a buy. It's $15. It's an absolute steal at that price. And the depth in the mechanics, the overflowing narrative, and the unique mixture of diverse characters means that playing through on another difficulty or special traits being on would not feel like a burden. So as always, that's it for me. If you liked the video, hit like. If you disliked it, hit dislike. Peace out.